Season 14 is the name of the season that we're currently in. Well, it's actually Season of the Splicer, but you know what I mean. Season 15 though, that's the one we're going to be talking about in today's video. Specifically though, we're going to be talking about the top must-have legendary weapons to get before Season 15 launches. See, Bungie's been talking a lot recently about buffing certain weapon types inside the PvE landscape. As you can see here, they say, we have more changes than usual for a season coming in Season 15, some as follow-ups to previous changes, and others that were too large for Season 14. Here's a preview of some of those changes. And of course they go on to mention 3 total weapon types for PvE that they want to look into. First up, they go over both scout rifles and hand cannons, saying that they want these weapons to be a bit more efficient at killing targets and high-end content. And they also segue over to machine guns and say that they've noticed that these weapons aren't doing their intended job all that well, so they're planning a quote noticeable change for Season 15. Spicy. Now, although we don't know specifically all the changes that are going to be made to these weapon types, we do know for a fact that they're going to be buffs, aka better than they once were. That's why in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best legendary scouts, hand cannons, and machine guns that Destiny has to offer. We're going to be going over how to get and farm these weapons and what their god rolls are, so you have yourself a spicy arsenal ready for when the new season drops in just under a month's time. Before we jump into it though, I just gotta ask, I know, YouTuber things, but if you do enjoy the content whatsoever today, definitely feel free to drop a like. It really does help me out. And subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more from me, as I'd absolutely love to have you here, and I really appreciate all the support. Without further ado though, let's start things off with scout rifles. Now, for those of you guys that watch my channel often, you already know this quite well, but I'm going to go over it again for any newcomers to the channel. For those of you guys that don't know, scout rifles are 100% meta right now inside of high-end PvE. When running things like Grandmaster Nightfalls or Master Raids, nothing really compares to the level of safety yet effectiveness you have when using a scout rifle. This content is all about having enemies that are extremely lethal to you, so having a weapon option that allows you high levels of safety while also providing good sustained damage is overall the best thing you can ask for. So when I heard that scouts were getting even better with the damage buff, you know, that made me super happy. So on this channel, we've gone over plenty of god tier scouts, so let's waste no more time and talk about our first one for the video, the Night Watch. Now, the reason we're going over this weapon first is because it's definitely my most recommended scout overall, so let's go ahead and talk about why that is. First off, let's go over this weapon's most positive trait, how you obtain it. See, the Night Watch is indeed a world loot pool drop, meaning that it comes from legendary engrams, umbrals, gunsmith materials, etc. But it also comes as a guaranteed drop from the New Light questline and the Cosmodrome. A few quests into this questline and you'll not only get a Night Watch, but a guaranteed roll of overflow and explosive payload. Now personally, I do think you can do a bit better when it comes to the perks, but this roll is definitely not one to scoff at. A better roll I'd recommend, however, is Extended Mag in the second column, and instead of overflow in the third, I'd go with Rapid Hit, as it increases the reload speed based off of precision shots, and that's much more reliable and more usable than needing an RNG ammo drop to proc a perk like overflow. In the final perk column, of course, I'd go with Explosive Payload, as it's just a flat 11% damage buff to all precision hits and 15% to the body. And if you want to get really picky as well, the Night Watch from the New Light quest comes with a handling masterwork, so you could also do better in this field with something like reload or range instead. Night Watch overall is one of the best scouts in the game right now. It's part of a really good lightweight archetype, it has an easily obtainable god roll with even better rolls to be found if you want to min-max, and it's a great kinetic option in GMs if you ever want to pair it with Divinity, Ariana's, or a Blinding AGL to double as shield breaks. However, if Night Watch being kinetic is a problem for you and you'd much rather have an elemental primary for more reliable shield breaks, look no further than Night Watch's literal brother, Vouchsafe. See, I got some flack in my last video for not mentioning Vouchsafe, and you know what? You guys were right. This thing absolutely deserves to be mentioned. So, Vouchsafe is a Dreaming City weapon, which means it comes from the Blind Well, Petra's Bounty, Shatter Throne, etc. And it's quite literally just a void Night Watch. It comes with the same god roll as before, Rapid Hit, Explosive Payload, and you can even change out Rapid Hit with 4 times the charm if that's your thing, but I recommend Rapid Hit personally. It's the exact same archetype as Night Watch, except it's void instead of kinetic, so if you like Night Watch and want something that's literally the same but elemental, rifle, then look no further than Vouchsafe. The only downside of this weapon comparatively is how hard its god roll is to obtain, but it's literally just like every other weapon in the game anyway, so not really much of a downside. Now, moving on over to another kinetic and elemental scout duo, let's take a look at the Hung Jury and Vision of Confluence. Both these weapons are part of the 180 RPM archetype, one kinetic, one solar, so let's go and see what makes them special. Starting off with Hung Jury, we have ourselves a kinetic 180 RPM scout, and unfortunately, if both Nightwatch and Hung Jury see the exact same buff in the upcoming seasonal patch, Nightwatch will probably reign supreme over the two if 180s aren't brought up to par with the rest of the archetypes. Hung Jury is obtained from the Nightfall playlist, which means it also has an Adept variant, and this gives it some nice stat boosts and access to mods like Adept Big Ones, but I wouldn't say that puts it over the effectiveness of Nightwatch. Hung Jury can still get great rolls like Rapid and Explosive, and even comes with more casual friendly rolls like Subsistence Firefly, which is a personal favorite of mine. Overall, I'd say Hung Jury fits more into casual play thanks to that roll specifically, as it does have a hard time competing with Nightwatch in the current meta. So if you're looking for a more day-to-day scout rifle that's not only useful in in-game, Hung Jury might be the scout for you. Now, moving on from Hung Jury, however, we do have ourselves the Solar Vision of Confluence from Vaulted Glass, and this bad boy's pretty nasty as it comes perfectly equipped with some really good perks for high-end PvE. You have perks like Rewind Rounds, which feeds ammo back into your mag for ridiculous amounts of sustain, as well as Frenzy for 15% extra damage when in firefights, or Disruption Break that, when procced, will grant 50% extra damage, and this is for kinetic weapons. So this perk procs both on anti-barrier and when breaking elemental shields, and it's pretty damn disgusting if you pair it with something like Succession. Now, for a bit of a bonus weapon for the scout rifles, I figured I'd go ahead and mention our boy Eternal Blazon, as it's an arc scout rifle, and it fits comfortably with Vision and Vouchsafe. I'm not only mentioning this gun because of its element though, it's got some pretty spicy perks that you might want to know about. Blazon drops from the World Loot Pool and can also be farmed via focusing the Chosen Umbral Engrams, and when you do get this thing to drop for you, you got yourself a few perks to keep an eye out for. We got options like Overflow or Rapid Hit in the third column, as well as not only One for All, but also Disruption Break as well, making this weapon pretty nasty for GM content just like Vision. Blazon is not only a good scout overall, but it also fills the elemental spot that you may need, so don't sleep on it. So to round things off, Nightwatch, Vouchsafe, Hung Jury, Vision, and Blazon are overall some really good scouts to keep an eye out for and get your hands on. Now let's go ahead and move on to the hand cannons for today's video, and boy oh boy! Do we got some bangers. Let's go ahead and start things off with the best hand cannon in the game right now, the Seraph Revolver. I'm going to go ahead and keep it a buck with you guys, it doesn't get much better than Seraph Revolver, and with an upcoming hand cannon buff on the horizon, this weapon is going to even further skyrocket in terms of how useful it is. The Seraph Revolver comes from the World Loot Pool, and I've had some of you guys in my comment section telling me that you don't think it's obtainable anymore, but I can promise you it's still dropping. Just recently I got one from the Gunsmith the other day, and it was a bad roll to be fair, but a Seraph Revolver nonetheless, so keep on searching for it. It's out there. Somewhere. Now, this weapon shines not only because of its perks, but because of, you guessed it, Warmind cells. Taking a look at the perks first though, this weapon's god roll is actually one that I personally own, and it's pretty damn nasty. Ambitious Assassin and Time Payload. Ambitious giving you more ammo per reload based off of enemies killed, and Time Payload acting like Explosive Payload, just a little bit delayed. It provides flat damage buffs and also allows for easier stunts on overloads. Now, you guys know the deal, these payload perks are an absolute godsend as they have 100% upkeep throughout anything that you play, especially being useful inside of endgame, and pairing that with something like Ambitious that helps you have sustained damage, you got yourself a pretty damn good weapon. Now, taking a look back at the Warmind cell side of things, this weapon is indeed a Seraph weapon, meaning that to create Warmind cells, all you need is a single Warmind cell mod equipped on your armor to spawn them on kills. This of course gives this hand cannon the ability to clear entire rooms worth of enemies single-handedly, and that's nothing to scoff at. There is a possibility that Warmind cells receive a nerf in the future, but even so, having them will always be better than not having them, and I think the only way to truly make Warmind cells useless is to remove them from the game, and I just don't see that happening. They range in usability as a form of ad clear thanks to mods like Rage of the Warmind and Global Reach. They can debuff targets allowing for more damage thanks to Power of Rasputin, and can even give you damage resistance with a mod like Warmind's Protection. Personally, I think that no nerf can truly remove their usability from the game, so assuming they do get nerfed, I still see Seraph Revolver being an S tier pick, especially with the hand cannon buff in the future on top of that. Now, let's say Warmind cells do indeed get the boot and are absolute trash. I don't think this will happen, but let's play devil's advocate. Man, do I have the weapon for you. It's another 180 RPM hand cannon, and unlike Seraph, this one is elemental, the Posterity from Deepstone Crypt. You heard me right, Posterity mains, rise! Listen, Posterity is already a great option, and this hand cannon buff, just like with Seraph Revolver, is going to further show its potential. Even in the current meta where 180s are kind of poopy, just like how the Seraph Revolver makes up for being a 180 with its Warmind cells, Posterity makes up for it with its perks. Taking a look at our options, we have in the third column excellent choices like Rapid Hit and Reconstruction for those massive magazines or reloads, and in the fourth column we have great picks like Redirection, Rampage, and One for All. This weapon is the epitome of great sustained damage, as when using a Reconstruction and Extended Mag roll, you can get roughly 35 bullets in the mag at a time, which is just insane for a hand cannon. Combine that with great damage perks like Redirection and One for All, you have yourself a pretty mean hand cannon for when it gets this upcoming damage buff. Now, for my homies out there that don't care much for 180s, I got the perfect substitutes for you. The best 140s in the game right now, Fatebringer and Palindrome. Starting off with Fatebringer, this weapon needs no introduction, it comes from Vault of Glass, it has an adept variant, yada yada yada, let's talk perks. This weapon comes with a wide variety of rolls, ranging from Explosive Payload Firefly for more casual players, Rewind Rounds Firefly for my Warmind Cell people, as well as Explosive Payload and Frenzy for people who run Master Raids and GMs. This roll is absolutely cracked out of its mind, by the way. We're talking a 26% damage buff almost 100% of the time when using both of these perks in tandem. Fatebringer serves as a great kinetic option in any situation that calls for it, and if you're needing a good energy primary instead, look no further than Palindrome. This weapon is a Void 140 that drops from Nightfalls. Just like Fatebringer, you can have an adept variant as well, and you can get great rolls like Subsistence, Overflow, and Outlaw to pair with Rampage for more casual players, and you have rolls like Overflow and One for All for the more hardcore audience to use in in-game content. As a bit of a bonus weapon here, we also have ourselves the Bottom Dollar from Gambit if you're looking to scratch your Void hand cannon itch in a bit of a different way. Although much harder to obtain, Bottom Dollar has a ridiculously good PvE roll in the form of Rapid Hit and Explosive Payload for in-game PvE, and if it weren't so hard to obtain, I'd honestly recommend this over Palindrome as a whole. So for those of you guys out there that have this roll, I will give you my left testicle as a trade offer. Contact me on Twitter at DemonJoeFrance and we'll arrange the exchange there. That being said though, doing a quick TLDR, Seraph Revolver, Posterity, Fatebringer, Palindrome, and Bottom Dollar, keep your eyes out for them and their god rolls, as when Season 15 rolls around, they're going to be even better than they are now. Finally, going over a total of 5 scout rifles and 5 hand cannons, we land ourselves in machine gun territory for the video. And honestly, at this point, I'm starting to think I should have cut this video into 3 parts. I gotta get that ad revenue, right? But nah, we don't do things like that around here, so let's go ahead and keep on going. Now, as mentioned earlier, machine guns are gonna be seeing the largest change compared to scouts and hand cannons. As with those weapon types, Bungie just said that they're looking to increase their damage, but with machine guns, they're planning a substantial change. So let's make sure we pick the right machine guns to farm ahead of time. Starting things off, we have ourselves the best machine gun in Destiny, the Seraph Saw. And unfortunately, just like the Seraph Revolver, this bad boy is a pretty rare drop. It's from the World Loot Pool, and man, does this thing just annihilate everything in its path. I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna keep it real. Even if Warmind cells weren't attached to this thing, I'd still use it over many of the other options we have in the game right now. But as you guys can see in the gameplay, Warmind cells are just a slight little bonus. Jokes aside though, taking a look at the perks, we have insane options. In the third column, we have things like Clown Cartridge, Auto Loading, and Field Prep. And then in the fourth column, we got absolute bangers like Vorpal Weapon, Disruption Break, and even Firing Line. Vorpal Weapon, of course, is going to give you 15% extra damage on bosses and champions. Disruption gives that boost to kinetic damage after a shield or anti-barrier break. And Firing Line gives a 20% damage buff to machine guns, and all you have to do to activate it is be nearby teammates, and in GM content, that's not all that hard to do. I don't really know what else to say. This weapon has some of the best perks I've ever seen on a machine gun, combined with Warmind cells as a Seraph weapon. Yeah, it's just plain disgusting, to be honest with you. Now, aside from the Seraph Saw, of course, it's not the easiest obtainable weapon out there, so we also have two Void LMG brothers, the Commemoration and Corrective Measure. These weapons are damn near the same, so just choose which one you'd rather have based off of perk selection. Commemoration comes from the Deepstone Crypt and can roll with Reconstruction Rampage, which is a pretty good casual roll, I must say, and Corrective Measure comes from Vault of Glass and rolls with perks like Subsistence and Rewind rounds, as well as One for All and Firefly. So out of the two, if Bungie buffs machine guns so hard that they make a splash in in-game content, Corrective Measure is the better of the two thanks to Sustain with Rewind rounds and One for All, and Commemoration is a more casual player machine gun due to its reliance on Rampage as its only damage perk and its huge magazine sizes. But guys, that's pretty much it for the video. That's pretty much everything I gotta say about the scouts, about the machine guns, about the hand cannons, and everything in between. Today's video, just like all my videos, ended up being kinda long. So if you made it to this point in the video, I definitely appreciate it. I haven't posted in about a week, so I'm just gonna kind of go on a little bit of a tangent for those guys that are still watching, or maybe even care. Comment frog if you care. Basically, I got my second COVID vaccine, you know, and I felt like absolute dog for like 2 straight days. I've had a lot of stuff going on IRL, so I haven't been able to upload as of late, but I'm hoping that you guys did enjoy this video. You know, I've been kind of looking for things to make videos on, and just recently I've gotten inspired, you know, with a bunch of different video topics. Of course, here on the channel, we mainly cover weapons and perks and stuff like that, and I actually have some really good videos that are going to be coming to the channel really soon before the new season drops that aren't actual filler content, that are actual, you know, meaningful videos that'll especially help out the, you know, more casual player base reach their way into in-game. And, you know, that's kind of what my channel is about anyways. I like to help the casual gamers kind of make their way up to GM level and doing master raids and everything in between. It's just what I enjoy. So I actually have some really good videos upcoming, not filler or anything like that. They're actually going to serve a purpose. And, you know, even though I've been struggling with video ideas recently, I got a few in my noggin. So expect some semi-consistent content, you know, here in the future. I'm gonna try not to go a whole week without uploading again. But yeah, if you guys just listen to that tangent, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for just everything. This entire YouTube channel has been blowing up as of late. It's just, okay, I'm going off on another tangent. I'm gonna stop it right here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time.